Dan and Corey here, welcoming you into Libservative.
The great fundamental issue now before our people. We, the people, cannot turn back.
Yeah! Trump to Electric Boogaloo! Welcome in to another rousing rendition of Libservative, intellectual idiots fostering political and cultural literacy. Bell the Bodysnatcher on the ones and twos. He, as always, is Corey Walsh.
He's Dad Griffin.
I got to ask you guys. Corey, you got a wife? Bell, you got a significant other. Did everybody's wives receive in the mail their red Handmaid's Tale shrouds at some point this week?
I don't check the mail.
No.
They're on their way. My wife received hers this morning.
Oh.
Yep. So we're all good. The fascism and the misogyny is in full force.
We're like 3 days in.
Listen,
He's
Nick
not even in power
Fuentes.
yet.
Listen, Nick Fuentes. Hold your horses.
Did you see Andrew Tate put him in his place?
No, I didn't. But I'll tell you what.
He was like bitching because he got doxxed. And Andrew Tate responded by saying, "Your body, my choice, bitch."
That's
really
interesting.
funny.
When Nick Fuentes is such a piece of shit that like Andrew Tate is not a fan of yours.
Well, because not only does Nick Fuentes, the incel, also hate every woman while he's hiding out at his mom's place, he also hates minorities and stuff too. Like, don't forget that. Like, he hates everyone. Like, I don't understand like why anyone gives him the time of day. Like, you figure him out. Like, oh yeah, this guy's just a piece of shit and hates everyone.
Even though, Corey, his name sounds awfully ethnic.
It does, but that's the de-whitenization of America. But yeah, like before social media and before school shootings became hip, pieces of shit like that
Yep.
would just sit at the end of a bar by himself, smelling bad, drinking bottom shelf fucking liquor, and he would be dead at 35 due to alcohol, like his liver giving out on him. That's what used to happen. And then social media comes around and it gives these fucking douchebags like a platform, so he gets on, and then all the douchebags that sat at the bar are now sitting at home in their basement watching his stupid fucking videos. And they're like, wow,
Hey man, if there's one thing I'm not going to hate on Nick Fuentes for, and this is probably the only thing because he's an insufferable piece of shit, I am not going to hate on the hustle.
well, that's what I'm getting at, right? Like, he grifts.
Because he's a top-tier
grifts.
grifter, my friend.
He's just a little bit better at talking, I guess, to attract all the other people like him. And those people exist in the world, it sucks. But you kind of need those people as long as they're not acting out. But you kind of need those people to be like, yeah, listen, son, that's what a piece of shit is. Like, you need an example. You can't just tell your kid not to be a piece of shit unless you have an example of a piece of shit.
People get mad about the lack of fatherhood in this country, and
there you go. See, this is what happens, son.
It's like just show him Nick Fuentes and be like, don't be this guy. Like, actually want you to watch him so that you know what a piece of shit he is.
Anyway, you're pausing,
honestly, Corey,
through. Now you see how he said this.
I think
This is what a
4.5
fucking idiot
minutes.
says.
I think 4.5 minutes is actually way too much time to give to Nick Fuentes on the
You're
show.
right, but all I'm going to say is about the people.
I just really wanted to make the Handmaid's Tale joke.
Choice. My family practices the Second Amendment, so my wife definitely protects her body, and it is definitely her choice.
Can we just be clear though? Like, Nick Fuentes was like the only person in America who said that, besides his maybe his trolley base said the same thing.
Yeah, the 4chan, can't say that word, the 4chan douchebags, you know, the other incels just like him who just
I like to
hurt
refer to
their
them as 4chan fucks.
Yeah. Yeah, there's another F that goes with that is like the slang term for those type of people, but I was going to say it on here.
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know?
She lost the election, but she's still spitting her knowledge. Thank you, Kamala. We need that.
Because now,
What do you think they do when they
people
lose? I feel like
perhaps
after
had
every
never
election-
seen before can be seen to know what's possible.
She's right, you know. I was thinking about this.
Amazing.
I was thinking about this while Kamala was talking because I wasn't paying attention to what she said. Do you think another reason why like Trump is so annoying is because like in every other presidency in our entire lives, the loser just goes away. They just disappear
Yeah.
for like 6 months. Trump didn't shut the fuck up when he lost.
Is that
So
what
it's
makes
like,
him?
wait, what,
that-
you know what I mean? Like, like Kamala's already not in news. Like Biden, for some reason, Biden hasn't been in the fucking headline for months. It's all been about Kamala. But as soon as this ended, like Kamala is just not in the news headlines anymore. You just don't hear about her anymore. The ads disappeared. The text messages stopped. That's it. People are giving Jill Stein shit for the same exact thing. Kamala's doing the same thing. You haven't fucking seen her since her concession speech. But she just disappeared, right? But Trump didn't do, or when Romney lost, when McCain lost, when fucking who was Romney? Who was Bush against? Bush Jr. John Kerry, and then who was
Al
the
Gore.
other one? Al Gore. Yeah. Well, he rose a little fuss after that election, but
And then Bob Dole in '96 just spent 6 months trying to get hard.
I don't even know.
Bob Dole has
I don't even know the
ED.
reference. Oh, does he?
Yeah. Well, didn't he do like a Viagra commercial after he ran for president and lost?
I don't know.
Something
Was
like
he
that.
$20 million
Bob-
in the hole with his
he-
campaign? He's like, I gotta make money
was-
anyway.
He was famously limp. That's all I know. That's really
funny.
the only thing I know about
I
Bob
didn't know
Dole.
that.
I just
But yeah, all of these other people, these presidents, just disappeared. Trump just fucking stuck around the whole time.
the best part about that was like
a
he
fart
wasn't
in
even
the car
on
with the windows closed.
the best part about that is he wasn't even on Twitter and like he
was on Truth.
still
But everyone was
still
like,
found a way.
people were going out of their way to be pissed off by the bullshit words he was saying, to screenshot it and then go and share it on Twitter anyways. That's so absurd when it's actually said out loud. Like,
Let's
that's what
roll
we
some
do.
Let's roll some housekeeping here, Corey. Tell the people where they can find us as soon as you finish that slug of delicious Miller Lite. Not a sponsor, by the way.
Libservative Podcast is found on social media and all podcast platforms. Our website is libservativeshow.com. We can be found at Libservative on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Instagram and Twitter at LibservativePod. Our TikTok videos can be found at Libservative Podcast, and you can reach out directly at libservativepod@gmail.com. Subscribe today.
So we are a
And that's
week
that's
now.
another thing that I agree with. I feel I have companionship with Trump. If I'm not reading my thing right away, like directly, I want to do a weave. So I have to read it. Yeah.
We are now a week removed from the country getting ready to become a Christian nationalist nation, as we've discussed in the past. That's a joke, people. Everybody chill out. Just in case you're new to the show and you don't know how sarcastic we are, now you know. What is your reaction a week removed? I'll go first. I like how I always ask a question and then answer it before I give you a chance to answer it. That's like part of the charm of our show.
No, and then I can't even formulate it in my head because I have to listen to what you're saying.
Because I don't shut the fuck up. Honestly, this is actually going to be pretty short and sweet because not surprised that he won. I don't think any of us were. Surprised. I don't care. I think Tom Woods put it this way in one of his latest episodes. I don't care if you were the biggest, like the most loyal Mar-a-Lago member. You did not think Donald Trump was going to win this election the way that he won it. That was the only shock. I did not expect that big of a beatdown. And you get people. I've seen some sort of establishment Democrats on types on Twitter or X talking about. Well, man, they're really using the term "quote unquote" landslide pretty loosely. But when you think about the political world in which we live right now, and how polarized it is, at least on the actual margins, everybody in the middle is actually not that far apart. But like the loudest voices on each side, convincing people. That was a landslide. But even if you don't want to call it a landslide, let's just say it was a decisive victory. I don't think we can disagree on that. That's really my only reaction. Funny. So you can go ahead.
Well, first thing I was going to say was kind of funny. I thought that this was funny. When I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast with Theo, and he's like, yeah, Elon left like 4 hours early and was like, it's done. Trump won. Like 11 o'clock. Mm-hmm. Like, we actually called it too at 11.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what's funny because
it wasn't hard to just look at the maps. Like, we obviously didn't have an app doing it for us, but like, we were kind of like pretty early. We were like, I don't know, guys. Like, I think Trump has this one.
Yeah, we did. Breaking Points was calling it pretty early. I don't think they called it.
A lot of the podcasts had I think more viewership than, like, all the podcasts together. I think had more viewership than cable news, didn't it?
Well, yes. Well, okay. So that's another thing that's amazing. Not surprising in hindsight.
We were a part of that, man.
Yeah, we would like to thank everybody who joined us for our drunken live stream with our one of our top fans, Ready Player J, on election night.
I got super sick. So yeah, we should apologize. We don't have an episode for last week. I got super sick and I had to miss work a day, and then I had to catch up on homework, and I didn't have time to listen to 3 hours of.
I think everybody forgives us. Honestly, it would make for a really stupid podcast episode because it was just us reacting to election results as they came in.
I had a plan to even hop on and just do something myself, like my initial reaction. But yeah,
I was enjoying the sunny weather, and actually it was pretty cloudy in Florida. But I would have hopped on with you, buddy.
Feel bad telling the fans that we missed an episode.
But yeah, no. So I'm glad you brought up that whole Elon Musk Joe Rogan thing, because that's part of this. Again, not surprising. This like blue stop the steal movement that we have. There's good news and bad news about this. The good news is it's a very small movement, it seems. The bad news is that it exists in the first place, right? Because you spent the last 4 years. And by the way, rightfully so, bitching at Donald Trump for Stop the Steal in 2020. Because it is bullshit. And you're now doing the same thing. But here's the thing. Trump's Stop the Steal was like slightly less stupid. Because, you did have the strength.
No, it wasn't less stupid.
It was. I'm going to tell you why it was less stupid, and you can tell me why it wasn't. I think it was less stupid because, at least in 2020, you did have like the weird COVID madness going on. It was the first year of like mail-in ballots. You did have all those extra votes show up for Biden. However, that's easily explainable when you factor in mortality since then, the amount of dead people, and also the fact that all the ballots haven't been counted yet. And also a lot of really good reasoning for why a lot of people actually sat out. So that stupid graph that everybody keeps showing about how many more votes Biden had than Harris,
that graph is being shared by both sides, Dan.
I understand.
There's a lot of people on the right that are sharing it, and they're saying, look how many more votes there were in 2020, but not in 2024. How many votes were thrown to Biden? Like that kind of shit. Like you're still seeing it from the election deniers on the right. But now there's a bunch of election deniers on the left. And that's what's fucking mind-boggling to me.
It's not, though. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be.
And I'm really glad that we have hours of us making fun of election deniers before this election, because now we can like
do it again.
Yeah, no, we can just keep doing it. Like My God, I saw some
This
shit.
one, well, to me, so this is why this one was so much more. This one is so much more stupid. Like, there's like feasible reasons why you could have thought in 2020 that
quick,
the
hey,
election
Bell.
was stolen.
Hey, Bell. I'm
Who's
gonna
listening?
need
Who's listening?
you. Yeah, I'm gonna need you really quick to look up the final tally of the elections from 2024 today. Look the ones in 2020, and then just add both numbers together of each
You're making
year,
him do math?
and then subtract the lower one from the last one and tell us which year, like what the difference is between 2020 and 2024. I guess like the total number of votes. I guess I could have just said that at the fucking beginning.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
God damn, jackass.
But this one is so much more stupid to me because their whole thing is like Elon used what's his fucking thing, Starlink, to like change ballots, and it's like, if you can explain to me how that's even possible, I'll think about listening to your reasoning. But there's just all it is the internet. Starlink is just the internet. That's all it is. It doesn't do anything else. Like, how did fucking Elon like log into Starlink mid-election and like harvest a bunch of votes somehow? It's so much more stupid to me.
You know, it's kind of funny though when you talk about the weird shit. When you talk about like conjuring up conspiracies.
Mm-hmm.
Bell, see if you can find any more news about this. I think it was a USA Today article.
He's trying to do math, Corey.
After the election, one of the Starlink satellites did crash out of the sky. Now put your tinfoil hats on, boys. but it's like,
It must have been Russia.
it's like, God damn it! Why does this dumb shit have to happen at the same time? Because people love,
But that-
humans look for patterns. That's one of the reasons why we made it to the top of the food chain.
That's the best of the. I think that's the best part of the post-election meltdown. But
I got so much more.
well, yeah, but okay, so the days following.
We're gonna talk about that, but I thought we were talking about our reactions. I'm sorry. You might be trying to move on. I didn't give my reaction. I was reacting to your reaction.
Do you have a reaction?
Yeah. So
Okay,
we
can still leave post-election meltdown up there.
Yeah, this is my post-election meltdown, right? So my first reaction was, holy shit, the demographics of our podcast are about to switch real quick.
Yep. Isn't it amazing how that works? Oh my God, I'm glad you thought
That's
that.
one of the first thing I thought was like, holy shit, like now it's going to be a bunch of people more leaning like liberal democratic. They're going to stomach our show better than the Republicans we've had because the last 4 years we bitched about Democrats. Now
You just shit on everybody who's in power. Yeah. That's what we do here.
I think you and I both have a contrarian streak, but call us optimistic idealists. I don't know. Call us.
I've been
dirty centrists.
Michael Malice has white-pilled the shit out of me. I mean, absolutely. I am so optimistic, not for this administration, right? This administration is going to be an unmitigated disaster.
There's an energy. America is moving in the right direction.
It's this realization. It's just this that it's the feeling that Trump getting elected by so much. Don't get me wrong. The administration is going to be an unmitigated disaster. I don't want to make it sound like I think he's going to do a good job because he won't. And I think we've said that many, many times. However, him getting elected by as much as he did was just this unbelievable fuck you to the establishment that I absolutely love. I'm sorry. I love it. I think in ways it's misguided, but
right. So that's one of my other reactions, right? That's one of my other reactions is like, boy, I hope that the Democrats take an actual lesson from this.
They have two options right now.
Well, you know what the reaction was, right? You heard it
immediately. It was that we live in a misogynist, racist nation. Yes, that was the immediate reaction.
I've heard Democrats say this. We can't run a woman.
Really?
Yeah.
No, you can't run a shitty candidate that happens to be a woman.
Isn't that wild? Isn't that wild that like, because like I've heard it, and I heard it from multiple people, and I heard Krystal Ball say it too. That like she called it out kind of. She's like, you know what the Democrats are going to say next is they can't run a woman.
Ooh.
And it's like
that's interesting.
It's a bit of it's an angle the Democrats are taking in some circles, dude, and it's fucking wild because like when I heard it, and it's by a guy who calls me a closet conservative. When I heard it, It was like, whoa, dude, no, hold the phone,
And
man. Like, no,
what's-
but maybe it's my remember I also volunteered for a woman candidate in the Democratic
I'm
Party.
so glad you brought that up, Corey, because you could have run a woman. You could have run a really
Right.
good woman. And she's now a Republican, and
Now
she's
a
in Trump's
fucking
administration.
Republican, and she's in Trump's
Yeah.
administration in charge of the national intelligence. Good
Yeah.
Trump. A lot of the other picks,
Bad Trump. We'll get into that.
Actually,
We'll get into that in the
not
good, bad, and
Trump.
ugly segment.
He's gonna drain the swamp by adding more sludge. Like, it was fucking
Yeah.
wild. RFK in there, that hell shit he's talking about. Oh, anyways, so the reaction that I was getting from Democrats was like, "Well, we can't
Ooh, a
run a
squirrel."
woman," and you see it on the news everywhere. It was too woke. They said that they got too woke, and then
Yes.
But what's funny is, oh fuck, what's his name? Jon Stewart. He just came out with a video, or he was on his show, or whatever. He was talking about how but in all the videos, all the ads, all the Democrats went really right. So it's just wild to see the reaction. They're scrambling when the answer is so simple, but they can't come to it because of their special interest lobbyists. That
Shall we quote James Carville one more time? It's the economy, stupid. Honestly, it's so
they
bizarre.
literally gaslit the nation. You know what I mean? Sure, yeah, GDP is up. Objectively, unemployment is down. So, but worker participation is really high. There's a lot of different things. They kind of gaslit the country the way that the Trump administration, we're going to see it again when the stock market does good. They're going to be like, oh, the economy's great. And it's yeah, but groceries are still expensive. Now, that's not the case under the Trump administration to compare to what it was the Biden administration. But the Democrats gaslit the shit out of people.
Mm-hmm. And everybody knew it. And Bell, you trying to speak because your mic's not on?
Yeah, you're right. So I got some numbers for you guys.
Here we go. I like this.
So 2020 election. Well, let's start with the 2024 election, which is pretty interesting. There's just under 2 million votes for third parties. The total amount of votes tallied would be 150,416,282. You have to go several places to find all the people that voted for everybody. You can't just find out who voted for everybody in one spot. It's very
So
hard.
call it 150 million.
No, that's the exact number. I went everywhere. I found all the votes.
Right.
I find all the votes faster than Michigan. All right.
or Arizona, for that matter. What the fuck is going on in Arizona?
All right. Now,
or Alaska, for that matter.
so we're going to go back to the 2020 election, where there was almost 3 million votes for third-party candidates, almost 3 times as many votes for third-party candidates. And there was also 8 million more votes casted.
Right. Okay, so that number is still the same. So that's what,
158
you know what that
million.
number tells me, that 8 million number? Remember 2020? It's
And a
pandemic.
bunch of dead people voted.
It was the pandemic. A lot of people were at home. Voting was really the only thing they fucking could do. And you had Trump every single day being Trump on Twitter because he wasn't on Truth Social yet. You had him every single day just spouting off some wacky fucking shit, making everybody more nervous than calm.
There's a secondary explanation too, Corey. And this is something that nobody's talked about. I think Hannah Cox is the only person I've heard talk about this. This is a great point. Look at the mortality rates between 2020 and 2024. A shit ton of people died. Then you have to factor in the amount of people that like me, I didn't stay home. I still filled out a ballot, but I didn't vote for either candidate, right? And then you factor in the people that just stayed home.
Well, I voted for
altogether.
Libertarian. I didn't vote neither of them.
You voted for that. You voted for that trans and kids and COVID lockdown libertarian Chase Oliver, worst libertarian of all time. He might be the worst libertarian candidate we've ever seen.
Yeah, but still better than Trump or Biden or Trump or Harris.
Try to get to that 5% so we can get the libertarians on the debate stage so they can argue with themselves.
Yeah, you voted for a libertarian too. How'd your libertarian candidate do?
Hey, I voted for a Mises Caucus guy in the senatorial election here in Michigan. Yeah. Anyway, Do you have any other reactions?
Well, my
from your
other
post-
option was writing wasted vote and then posting a picture of it on Facebook just to piss everyone off. And I was like, well, I guess
That's what you
I
should have
might as
done,
well
bro.
just not thrown my vote away.
See, I wish I had thought of that before I sent my ballot in, and I would have done it. Because I literally just
Remember I did
didn't
that? You
fill
don't
out the
remember me
president.
doing that and posting it on the Libservative page? Like I wrote my own name in it. It was like, wish me luck, guys. It was the midterms though. I think it was for
Yeah.
It was midterms and that was for AG
Yeah. I get
for
you.
the state of Michigan.
I'm with you. Shall we move on?
I live at higher
Or
stakes this time. So then I also heard that the whole woke thing,
Oh, okay.
the crazy election denialism from the left. I actually didn't expect that. I really thought that was going to be unique to.
Oh, I did. Here's the thing. I did, but I thought it was going to be like an after the fact thing, like another like Russiagate style thing. I didn't think it was going to
Okay.
be an actual like. I didn't think it was going to be an actual like Trump cheated claim. I didn't think that was going to be what it was.
Oh,
but
okay.
here
And
we
I
are.
was going to say to that when you mentioned the difference between the two, one of the big differences between the two is the actual person was running with the idea that it was stolen. Kamala conceded and she disappeared like every other president did in our lifetime.
Do you give her credit?
Oh, it's
Do you
kind
give
of
her
just
credit?
it's kind of like this QAnon thing.
Do you give her credit for an actual concession?
Yeah, well, she lost.
Because I do, but with a caveat.
She,
'Cause
you know
here's the
what?
thing, right?
Okay, so here's the thing, right?
Go ahead.
Pelosi just came out all pissy about the fact that when Biden stepped down, he wasn't supposed to fucking endorse Harris, and he did.
Well, that's because
they
he was
wanted-
saying. And you know what? I give
they
Biden
wanted-
credit
'cause-
there too, because he's like, you know what? Fuck you guys. He just did what he wanted to do. I you know what? Respect to Joe
crotchety
Biden on
old
that one.
man, and he has the fucking nuclear codes, and he's still there, by the way. He's still there right now.
He's still the president. By the way, in case anybody didn't know.
But like Pelosi was like, we wanted to do a primary, we wanted to do this and this, you know, and like because if they did a primary, they probably could have snagged someone good, and then this election would have been completely different.
God, it might not have been good, but it would have been better. Like, honest to God, like,
Right.
just like even, I mean, Pete Buttigieg, for fuck's sake, and you know how we feel about him. Like, I'm not a fan
Dude,
of Pete.
he's
anyway,
probably gonna be our
but my
governor in the
God,
next
he would have
15
been.
years.
But my God, he would have been a better candidate than her. I mean, just and that's just me throwing a name out there.
Right.
I mean, just like
Whitmer could have ran. I don't know.
well,
But
and
there
that's
it
what's
would have been completely different.
so Corey, you talked about all the gaslighting, right? This is a part, and this is
well,
what
not all of it. Did we get to the blue bracelets?
not yet, but we'll get there if you want, because I really don't give a shit about the blue bracelets, but I'll let you go on that. But
I
so
just
so
think
like
it's
this
performative.
that no. So that is the fact that Kamala conceded, which I give her credit for. Like she stepped down, she walked away. You know, that's great. However, that just speaks to all of the gaslighting that took place for the last 2 fucking years that we all knew was bullshit. And so many people still believe this idea that Trump is Hitler, Trump is a fascist, Trump is a Nazi. Dude, if this man is actually Hitler and actually a Nazi, are you not doing everything you can? Are you not actually trying to rig an election? Are you not stepping down? Like it started with the whole Biden stepping down and then Harris just being coronated as the as the candidate, and you had people like Gavin Newsom and Gretchen Whitmer and other better, I mean, not good candidates, but certainly better than Kamala Harris, just going, we'll just wait till 2028. But wait a minute, I thought we were never going to have another election if Trump won.
Right. Yeah, that's a
Like-
whole other aspect of it. Like democracy was supposed to be on the ballot this year,
Yeah, exactly. So
but they're not going to use democracy to save democracy. It's kind of a coronation because that's not how it's supposed to go. Like if the president dies, the vice president takes his place. They don't fucking take their place in a fucking candidacy election.
Well, I mean, there's a little bit of precedence for that. I mean, you have Nixon stepping down, but it also wasn't an election year. You know what I mean? And it's not like, and here's the other thing. It's not like Biden resigned, right? He didn't resign. So I guess you're right. There really isn't a whole lot of precedence for it. If Biden had just resigned and then
No, this
Kamala Harris
happened
would have become
before.
president.
Who was it? Someone said they're not going for re-election.
Yeah,
There was
but
a
it
candidate,
wasn't
like
an
in the
immediate.
50s or 60s. But I think
But there
they held
was
a
the-
primary.
Yeah, there was a primary. No, I think it was earlier.
And his
than that.
vice
I don't-
president won anyways. Won the
Yeah,
primary.
it was-
I don't know if they
there
won
wasn't-
afterwards, but
There wasn't like a weird, like this weird coronation. Yeah, and that's exactly what it was. But,
Yeah.
democracy was on the ballot. Democracy's on the ballot, and you run a terrible candidate. You run the vice president with the lowest approval rating of all time. Lower than Dick Cheney at the end of the Trump administration or the Bush administration.
one of the first people to drop out of the primary in 2020.
I mean, but democracy was on the ballot. And it's just like this. And this is my whole Michael Malice white pill thing, right? It's like everybody saw what you were doing. Everybody saw it. And honestly, hindsight being 2020, I'm shocked that I was surprised that it was such a decisive victory for Trump. I really am.
It's not as decisive
Because-
as it would have been with Biden, but
What it shows you, no, it's not. But what it shows you is
but
that
like
the
all we had to
American
go
people,
off was polls, and the polls were just. It seemed like the polls were just trying to just stay even within the margin of error because they get paid a lot of money to do polls,
yeah, they do,
and they
the-
fucked up a
the-
lot lately.
The American people, well, you know what's funny is like the polls are only way off when Trump wins. Because in 2020 they actually were pretty good. They weren't bad at all.
Or
in
even
2020.
remember the Iowa poll right before the election? Everyone's like, "Oh my god!" And he fucking trounced Iowa.
He really did. Yeah. It wasn't good. It wasn't a good look. It wasn't a good
Seneca?
look for pollsters. It wasn't a good look for pollsters in 2016, and it wasn't a good look for pollsters in 2022. And it's only when Trump wins. Like, that is the anomaly that this man is. And what I love about the fact that he won by so much, and believe me, if I've said it once on this particular episode, I've said it 5 times, and I'm going to say it again. His administration is going to be a disaster. But there are good things here. Liberty Twitcher says in Nevada, I got called a lot by pollsters and lied every time, telling them I was voting for Kamala. We did the same thing,
Dude, yeah, no, I didn't tell them I was voting. Oh, in the text messages, yeah. If they texted me in the text message, they would be like, "Are you gonna vote? This election's coming up," and I would say, "Oh yeah, I'm so excited to vote that I already sent my mail-in ballot in, and I'm gonna vote again on election day."
I did the same thing.
But if they called me, I would keep them on the phone for like 20 minutes, just bullshitting about my political views. Dude, they came to my door, and I'll tell you what, they picked the right fucking house.
Like if a Jehovah's Witness shows up and you just invite him in for tea and fuck with them for 45 minutes or more.
Dude, I did.
So can I just say one thing about Jehovah's Witnesses real quick? If they do come to your house, do not fuck with them. Not because they're going to do anything shitty to you. Because I had a buddy do this. Exactly. I had a roommate who did that. He invited him in. They like gave him the fucking Tower pamphlet or whatever. He's reading it. He's fucking around with them, and they just wouldn't stop coming back. They were like once a week. They were knocking on the door. I'm like, you fucking asshole. Why did you do that?
Dude, that's really funny. Because when you first started saying, when you said do not, I thought you were going to say let them inside as if it was some sort of like vampire type shit. I was like, wait, why shouldn't I let them inside? I was like on the edge of my seat. I was like,
my buddy lost his soul.
And then he lost his soul. Now he's just
lost his soul that day. You know what though? Jehovah's Witnesses are a little bit like Mormons in that way. They're really pleasant people. But I have known a couple Jehovah's Witnesses. I was going to say I have known a couple of Jehovah's Witnesses, and yeah, it's definitely a cult. It's definitely a cult.
Yeah. A lot of churches. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of like religious groups that are like that.
I know. I don't know what Bell just sent us in the private chat. Some USA Today piece. Do you have a breakdown of what that was, Bell? Or was that just the numbers that you were telling us about? Your mic's off again, bud.
Your mic is off. But based on the headline, U.S. official charges Israel-Iran leak. So
Bell's
I guess I'll
still
just have to
talking.
open it
This
because
is-
Bell
this
is still
this is
talking and he's not
Holy
listening.
Your mic's off. What were you saying?
I know I'm muted.
Yeah,
'cause
start
of,
go from the top.
You know, the background noise. But anyways,
It's actually not bad now. You're good.
a CIA official was arrested and charged because he leaked information about an Israeli attack in Iran that is supposedly going to happen.
Oh
now,
yeah, remember?
the question?
This is older news. There was a
Right.
leak, but they discharged someone for it.
They just charged him. Yeah,
Not Lee Harvey
Well-
Oswald. I'm a patsy.
they just found him. They found him in Cambodia. He was hiding out.
He was in Cambodia. like he knew.
They arrested him in Cambodia.
Only a CIA agent, I feel like, would have the weird connections to be able to make it that far before they're caught.
Hell yeah,
Why didn't you let Israel kill those poor brown people? You asshole.
man. They said that Trump's gonna open up the floodgates for Israel to attack.
Yeah, well, that's no surprise. I think we predicted that going in.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by the good and the bad from Trump
Mike
being elected.
Huckabee is the ambassador to who?
Mike Huckabee?
Yeah, look that up real quick, Bell.
You said
Trump picked Mike Huckabee. Yeah, for I will let you know right now. It's in the.
I wish
recent-
I want
former
Mike
governor of
Huckabee to be the
Arkansas.
ambassador to Israel.
oh for
Mike
God's
Huckabee.
sake. Yep, it's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be a disastrous administration,
Dude,
but I'm
that's
looking
what I'm
forward to the
saying,
chaos.
man. Like,
Oh no.
people are gonna continue to say, "Oh, Trump's draining the swamp," but here he is. He has
Donald
Mike Huckabee
Trump is
as
a
ambassador
bad
to
guy.
Israel.
He's a bad person.
Dude's a minister. by
Should
the
we
way.
get into the appointees?
No, I don't want to get into that yet because that's part of my good, bad, and ugly segment. Do you have anything else about post-election meltdowns? Because so it
I don't know. Should I
started
bring up the
off
bracelets? Can we talk about the bracelets? You want to talk about the bracelets?
the bracelets. Yeah, you gotta signal who you're. It's just like,
I don't know. Yeah, it's so. Again, I guess we live in an area that's very multicultural, and I'm around a lot of people of different races. To where,
how are the
like,
bracelets,
I-
by the
I
way,
feel
different
like-
than MAGA hats?
I feel
are they
like I
different?
don't have to wear a bracelet to let people around me that don't look exactly like me know that
Know that you're an ally.
to know that they're safe. Like, I'm not like I could be wearing a fucking bracelet but have fucking schizophrenia and be in a fucking aisle like twitching and shit, but I have the bracelet on, so they're supposed to think I'm safe. Like, I don't know, man. It's very performative, and I think it's a bit of virtue signaling is all.
100%. It's very performative.
I
It's
don't
very
know, right?
performative in the same way that the MAGA hats are performative. It's the same. Like, what's the difference between the blue bracelet and the MAGA hat, really? Like, what's the difference?
Yeah, you just ego probably.
I guess a little bit.
Yeah, the mega hats are a fuck you. The blue bracelets are kind of coming off as like, hey, shh, wait, I don't want to talk to you.
You're.
Like,
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. Is like the blue bracelets.
I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to actually engage a conversation. Just, you see this? I'm gonna say, stay over there.
I'm an ally.
'Cause remember, it's for
an ally.
minorities.
You're
It's
safe.
just, it's like the fuck. I don't know. Like,
How unbelievably condescending. How
Mr. Space.
unbelievably condescending.
I'm
The fact that you need to tell somebody, whether it's because they're LGBTQ or some sort of racial minority, that you're an ally is extraordinarily condescending.
yeah.
As if
think
they
so,
can't
too.
just know on their own. Like, those of us that aren't wearing blue bracelets don't know anybody who's a minority.
Dan, I have to make it very clear to them because
Yeah.
they might not get it, Dan. they might not know that I'm a decent human being unless I show them, because the color of my skin, like, yeah, like,
Dude,
I don't know.
it's the
And
performative
you
thing
understand what I'm
about
saying?
like you
Yeah,
have
it's-
no, I do. It's the performative thing where you have to run around signaling that you're a good person instead
don't
of
mean to
just
shit on
being
these
a good
people.
person.
Right.
I
And I
do.
don't mean to shit on these people. Like, no, they're not reading fucking books about propaganda on a day-to-day basis like we are, right? So like
They're not doing their own research, Corey.
but and it's coming from a virtuous spot, I get it, but it's like minority groups also don't like you singling them out. They just want to be left the fuck alone.
Imagine
They
that.
want all they fucking want at the end of the day is when I'm walking down a grocery aisle, I don't interrupt them while they're listening to their podcast and try to fucking engage with them because they're a person of color. They want me to just give them a nod, like, what's up? And keep moving along just like a fucking white person would.
Do you want me to call a minority right now and ask him?
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
gonna call a
if
minority.
you want.
I'm gonna call a minority right now and ask
You
him.
better. God damn it! You better tell them you're calling them under the premise of calling a minority.
Yeah, I'm gonna call a minority right now and ask him.
Yo,
Hey, buddy.
hey, what's going on?
Hey, you're live on the podcast right now, just so you know.
Oh, okay,
I just needed to ask you one simple question, Raj.
sure.
For those who don't know, Roger is a minority. He is Cuban. Would you feel safer around me if I were wearing a blue bracelet?
I wouldn't notice actually.
You've heard about the blue bracelet thing, right, Raj?
Yeah, actually, my wife made me one, so yes, I'm familiar with that.
She made you one.
Yes.
Would you? Are you wearing it to signal that you're a safe person?
No, it just my problem is I guess my wrists are too big or something, but it keeps falling off. So maybe I'm just not meant to wear one, honestly.
We were just discussing the virtue signal of the blue bracelets, but I don't want to offend Sarah.
Yeah, no, it's it was a day of mourning when that happened here, on her part.
Oh shit! This just got dark.
Yeah, but so yeah, on that part, but no, I didn't know what that was going on, and then she told me what was going on. So
So she made you a blue bracelet for a different reason.
Correct.
Okay. I was gonna say. All right,
Jesus.
I didn't mean to.
So Roger's just confused, and he's just like, "Why?" He probably can't hear me.
You can't.
When I understand the significance of it. I mean, it is so weird now that everybody's going to Blue Sky, which is now everybody's leaving Twitter. It was like 800,000 people have left Twitter. I don't know if you saw that or not.
No.
So, yeah,
no.
you guys should. Speaking of virtual signaling, I mean, those are going out in grows. Blue Sky, blue bracelet. It's all,
So now there's a confusion
so
over the
explain to
symbol of
him-
the blue bracelet.
Yeah. So explain to him like what the blue bracelet is about. He can't hear me.
There's a little bit confusion.
Well, you know that people are running around with blue bracelets right now to symbolize that they are a safe person to be around
For
for
minorities.
minorities now that Trump has been elected.
Oh. I just thought maybe it'd be, I don't know, the way you talk to me and look at me like any other normal thing you would do in life.
See, that's perfect.
Okay,
and what I
so
love about this,
That's
Corey,
the
what I
answer that
love
we
about
were
this,
looking for.
Roger, I know you can't hear Corey, but what I love about this is that Roger didn't even know what the blue bracelet even meant. So that's fucking fantastic.
But yeah,
It
yeah.
reminds me of do you remember when Big B turned, what used to be Beaner's Coffee?
Did it used to be Beaner's Coffee?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, it used to be Beaner's Coffee. When I was doing radio in Grand Rapids, I did a man on the street. So I was working for a Spanish radio station. And we did like a man on the street thing, asking people if they were offended. We actually because Grand Rapids, and I don't know if you know this or not, Grand Rapids, Highland area has a large Mexican population. And I asked the on-air personality, Rosie, and a couple of people on the street, if he knew Beaner's the term beaners was offensive because they changed it based off some people, and it was a very small white people saying that it was offensive, and Mexicans didn't even know it was offensive.
Sort of like whether or not the Cleveland Indians or the Washington Redskins should have changed their name. They didn't think to ask Native Americans whether or not they should do that.
Right. Or for that matter, the Hurons of Eastern Michigan, when they changed it to the Eagles in the early 90s. The Hurons were proud of that, and they were like, don't change it to a generic name like the Eagles, and Eastern Michigan caved to peer pressure that didn't even exist.
They should totally be the Hurons. But I am so happy that you didn't even know what the symbol of the blue bracelet was, because we were just making fun of it a little bit. Raj?
Let them know I am, in fact, a safe space.
Yeah, I'm safe, Phil. I mean, I'm good. If,
There hasn't been anybody in a MAGA hat, like, trying to burn down your house?
as far as I know, no. I mean, I'll have to tell you a guy's story later about my son and that, but that was a funny story, but I was at liberty not to talk about it with him. We talked about it earlier today. I gave his mother, who's African American, voted for Trump.
Uh-oh.
So we'll just leave it at that.
What a race traitor. I'm totally kidding.
Yeah, no. It's funny. It's a funny story, but another time for another day.
Raj,
Yeah.
I love you, bud. I just wanted to check in on that, and we got to have a cigar soon.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm safe, and just let everybody know. Like, if I do, I have a Sicilian wife that's crazy, and not to mention that, I won't speak Spanish in front of people with red hats, and I should be good.
Yeah, you'll be just fine. And make sure that you know that if you don't feel safe, just look for somebody with a blue bracelet.
They're there for you. That's the adult in the room.
All
right, bud. I'll talk to you.
See you, man.
Yeah. There we go. That's just
That's
I talked
so
to
funny.
one
like,
minority.
I felt like he's like, yeah, no, my wife made one, and I was like, oh fuck.
That's what I was thinking. What's funny is I know
this is not going the way Dan planned it.
I know his wife, and she's a left-leaning person, but she's not a crazy person.
Then right after he's like, yeah, no, you just talk to me like a normal person. Like, yeah, exactly like what I said. Like, just give someone a fucking head nod in the grocery store and leave them the fuck alone, and then everything will be fun.
We just got to call more minorities and get their take on it. Anyway, shall we move on to the good, bad, and ugly?
We can.
Trump 2, Electric Boogaloo, the good, the bad, the ugly. Let's start with the good, which we've actually already discussed at length on this episode with regards to what's good about Trump being elected. It's and the one thing that I don't think we've discussed at length is the hopefully unbelievable humbling of the DNC. Maybe.
I hope they get their shit together.
But
as I said earlier, they're just blaming like imagine if a football team blamed the fans for losing.
That is the exact analogy I was going to go with. Yeah, exactly. I was going to say a basketball team in the NBA Finals goes out and loses the game and then blames the fans for not cheering loud enough. Like that's
right.
That's what the DNC is doing now. It's what they did in 2016. I shouldn't say the DNC, but just like establishment Democrats.
I try to get here's the thing too. It's like I'm probably to a fault, like kind of an empathetic person, right? So it's like I try to be sympathetic to people, and you feel there's a lot of people right now that when Trump was elected, they were 10 years old. They don't know the whole Trump gambit. Even if they voted in even if voting in 2024 is the first time they're voting, they saw Trump lose in 2020 when they couldn't vote. And they were fucking 10 years old when Trump won, so it wasn't probably something even on their spectrum. In their sphere of their day-to-day things, other than hearing their parents either praise it or bitch about it.
That just means we're getting old. That's all that means.
Nah, well, that didn't need to be said, but
I mean, I still feel like a young man, but here we are.
But you know what I mean? So like there's a lot of people that are dealing with this for the first time. We're veterans. It's like imagine if a September 11th happened again. We would be like, oh, we've been here before. But all the younglings would be like, holy fuck,
Dude,
this is fucking bad.
It's
And we're just
so,
numb to
it's
this
so,
shit.
Corey, it's so crazy that like if something like September 11th, God forbid, happened again, like obviously, knock on wood, let's not let that happen. But if it did, my first thought right now, do you know what it would be?
PSYOP.
No,
Inside
not
job.
necessarily. No, not necessarily PSYOP,
False
not
flag.
necessarily inside job. No, who the fuck do you think I am? My first thought would be, how is the establishment going to use this to their advantage? How is the establishment going to use this to start a war? That would be my first reaction. And I'm amazed by the amount of people that are 20. I'm 36 years old, 20, 30, 40 years older than me that still would not have that reaction.
Right.
It's absurd. It's absurd because I only needed to see it once. I only needed to see it one time. And then all of the things that have transgressed since then to realize the whole don't ever let a good tragedy go to waste is an actual real fucking thing.
Absolutely.
That these people utilize. And
it got us into Afghanistan for 20 fucking years. And then
and Iraq.
The person that's in, I forget his name. Is it Keith Hegseth? Not Keith Hegseth. One of the people that's in Trump's, who's being appointed to his cabinet, said that
You're talking about
Afghanistan.
Pete Hegseth?
Is that it? The one that said
the
that
defense secretary?
Afghanistan is going to be a generational thing, and we should stay there.
Did he say that? I don't think we should.
One of the people.
I was saying, I don't think we should confirm that. I don't know if he said that. I don't think we should confirm that.
At CPAC, because he got booed.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna confirm nor deny that at this point. I don't think you should either. But yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. That it was going to be a 20-year deal, or more. But that's like McCain said that, or something similar to it. Again, not confirming, just talking out of my ass because I don't have it in front of me. It's not important at this point. Going back to the good and the humbling of the DNC.
Him. I can't.
I don't think it was him
right now. But
I don't think it was him.
One of the people he put in his cabinet said that.
Sounds like something Lee Zeldin might have said, or John Ratcliffe might have said.
It might have been John Ratcliffe.
Yeah, he's the CIA director. But we're gonna get into the cabinet picks in just a minute when we get down to the bad. Humbling of the DNC. So I had the morning after the election, when everybody was kind of, dealing with what had happened, either in a good way or a bad way. I saw a post from a very, very good friend of mine. And I genuinely love this person. He's one of the best people I know, but he is an establishment Democrat. True blue through and through. And I love the guy. I really do. I consider him a very good friend. And his post was, please explain to me, and I give him credit for asking the question in this way instead of making accusations, which is one of the reasons why I think he's a good person. Please explain to me how anyone could vote for Donald Trump. Now, let me tell you about this person. I'm not going to name his name, but he is actually in politics as a Democrat. He is a city councilman for one of the local municipalities here in Metro Detroit. And I looked at that post and I thought, sir, you are in politics. You are a Democratic politician, granted at a local level, which is definitely different. But you are in politics and you are asking this question the day after the election? Like, the fact that you're asking that question is a huge portion of the problem for Democrats.
Yeah.
You don't even understand your competition. You don't understand your political rivals at all. If I sat down for 10 minutes, Corey, for 10 minutes, and this is coming from somebody who did not vote for Donald Trump, I could come up with 30 fucking reasons that have nothing to do with race or gender for why somebody would vote for Donald Trump.
Yeah, I probably could too.
For 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like
then you bring in race and gender, and then you can even have more reasons.
I guess, yeah. I mean, more silly
from
reasons,
the
but sure.
minority perspective. No, for real. Like in 2020, I think it was like
fair enough.
82% of Muslims in Dearborn. You know, for anyone who doesn't know what Dearborn is, it is the biggest Muslim population outside of the Middle East.
Per capita.
Per capita. Like, and maybe not just that city, but Metro Detroit is the biggest swath of Middle Eastern people outside of the Middle East itself. Just like how America has more Irish than Ireland itself.
Ireland, yeah.
And
oh, don't you know? I know that, laddie.
And in 2020, they voted 82% for Trump.
Joe Biden.
Or I mean Joe Biden. Sorry, Joe Biden. Yes, Joe Biden. And the other 18% was probably Chaldeans. they love Trump, but they're Catholics.
Yes, they do. They're Christians. Yes, Iraqi Christians.
And in 2024, only 43% voted for Harris.
Kamala Harris. Yeah, a lot of them voted for Jill Stein.
So what? Yep, and so 30% voted for Stein. No, 23%. I'm sorry, 23% voted for Harris in 2024. 30% voted for Stein, and 45% voted for Trump. Almost half. Where before it was 18. Like I said, 18% Trump, 82% Biden. Almost half of them. The majority, for sure, when it comes to this voting system that we have, where it's winner take all, he could have won with 34% in that little precinct, but he won it.
Yeah,
that's probably why Wayne County stayed red for so fucking long.
Yeah, and Corey, it speaks to where Democrats are, right? Like my buddy that asked that question, why? Please tell me why somebody would vote for Donald Trump. And again, I respect him.
Should have messaged him and said, "Let's get a beer and talk about it."
No, well, and we could, and I've had these conversations with him before, and he does this thing where it's like he doesn't really have an argument, because he'll say things like, I'll bring up, say, for example, money in politics. And like how awful it is, and how it's a both sides thing, right? It's just like it is what it is. And he will actually sit there and tell me that Democrats are the ones trying to get money out of politics. And I look at him and I go, and at least if he did that to me today, we haven't had this conversation, but I assume he would. If he did that to me today, I would be like, okay, then why did Democrats outspend Republicans 3-1 in this election and Trump still won in a landslide? Don't tell me that, like, I got to this point where it's like, oh, when I was actually like reading some of the comments underneath his post, because there were some people that were legitimately trying to explain why somebody would vote for Trump, including myself. There were others that were like, oh, racists and sexists and, the whole nonsense. But I went, oh my God, I had this realization. This might be my things learned this week, Corey.
Oh, I should do mine after.
I went, oh my God. It's not even that you're trying to gaslight us anymore. You're gaslighting yourselves. Like, to actually believe that Democrats, maybe they are at like the local and state levels, I guess. But like, if you generally believe that the Democratic National Committee is focused on getting money out of politics, you're out of your fucking mind. Like, you'll sit there and you'll listen to the establishment Democrat voters that'll go, well, it's Citizens United is the problem. And I go, well, okay, well, there's arguments for why that's not true, but there are really good arguments for why Citizens United is bad, and I'll listen to those, and I'll listen to the why it's good too. But you don't think that Democrats are utilizing the advantages of Citizens United too?
Yeah.
What world are you living in?
Yeah, No, absolutely. Like, there was lobbyists and big money donors giving Kamala Harris money for her to be able to basically achieve. Now, there was some money put aside for the Biden campaign, but to be able to raise $1 billion in like 3 months. Like,
Yeah.
why aren't either political party able to raise such a substantial amount of money from private investors to put into replacing infrastructure for lead pipes in small towns, or making it so rural areas can get fucking internet, or in the inner cities making viable public transportation, or like, I don't know. I mean, I'm
By the way,
just
I
keep going. But
no,
it's
I
like,
should
you understand
throw
what
in
I'm
a
saying?
I do, and I should throw in a caveat. I don't know if it was. I don't have it.
That
in
would be
front
the
of me. I
most
don't know if
libertarian
maybe
fucking thing.
maybe Bell can look it up for us what the expenditures were. I don't know if it was 3-1, but it was Democrats. I know the Harris campaign significantly outspent the Trump campaign. How do I know that? You can't. Liberty Twitcher says you can't get money out of politics. It's totally protected by the Constitution, as well as it should be. I don't know that it's totally protected by the Constitution.
No, it is. It is. It was ruled that, I forget which. I think it's under this. It might be even under Citizens United, but spending money is a performative
It's
way
speech.
of expressing.
Yes,
free
it's
speech.
It's considered speech, but that's an interpretation of the Constitution. And maybe it's the right one. Honestly, I don't fucking know. I don't really care. It's totally irrelevant to me. But yes, the Supreme Court did interpret the Constitution to say that money is speech, and that it just is what it is. So I'm not really here to argue about that. I don't really care. I would prefer if there were less money in politics. But like, for Democrats to my buddy, it's like, how do you think Kamala raised all that money? Do you really think do you think it was like, it wasn't people like you and me donating $50? Not that I would ever donate money to her campaign, but you know what I'm saying? Just like average Joes donating $50 here and there in small donor donations. No, it's the same way they used to bitch about you, and they're still doing this. Democrats are still bitching about the Koch brothers. Look at what the Koch brothers actually donated to while they were alive.
They donate to NPR.
And they donated to everyone. They donated to both sides. Yeah. Like, that was the whole point. That was the whole point. The Koch brothers, as if there's some sort of fascist, horrible. It's like, no, they're pieces of shit. I totally agree with that.
But you're calling pieces of shit for all the wrong reasons.
100%. I'm getting a little drunk on this bourbon.
I bet you are.
Let's continue with the good of Trump getting elected. The margin, which we talked about a little bit early in the show. No questions about who won this election. No questions. It wasn't close enough. It wasn't like a situation where Trump won the Electoral College but didn't win the popular vote. He won the popular vote. So you can't even have that argument that Democrats like to do when they lose, which is, we got to abolish the Electoral College. Isn't that interesting how that only happens
to the
when
losers?
a Republican...
Only say. You know what's another thing that's good? Talking about the minorities like I was earlier and stuff. It's a good thing that Republicans are attracting minorities, because it's literally the dog that caught the car. Yeah. And now that they caught it, for fuck's sake, we're going to see Republicans now actually trying to attain the minority vote, which means they're actually going to care about the minority. And then the Democrats are. So then they're actually going to have to do shit.
So, dude, I don't know.
The minority, but then because now the minority is like up for grabs on either side versus just one side, they don't get to play into the identity politics, and now it's going to become more of a class thing. All right,
I'll push back. I'm going to push back on that like halfway, because I think you're mostly right. How much of it is Republicans and how much of it is this new sort of Trump coalition? Because this Trump coalition, for better or worse, just has a better pulse on the country than the Democrats.
But then again,
they just do.
People were groaning and kind of booing Tony Hinchcliffe during his set. And,
that's true. Yeah, that's fair.
Which is funny. I have his first words, response to it. Do you want to see it? You know,
Who,
but it's
Tony's?
only like a minute. Yeah.
Oh, so I was listening to a couple of Rogan podcasts after the election, and apparently Tony was sweating his ass off that night.
Yeah, during
Because
it because he thought that maybe he might
If
be
Trump
the
had
reason.
lost, he would have been the responsible for it. Fucking I love Tony Hinchcliffe, man. He's great. All those guys are awesome. You got Tony's response. Did he do a Kill Tony since then? I haven't. I'm behind. Vastly.
Oh
behind.
yeah, he has. He's probably done 2.
Okay. You got it? Slow down. Corey's struggling here. Are you trying to get it to a certain spot? I can't have this much dead air on my show.
I can imagine what
Is it
can
not
be
sharing?
and be
It's
unburdened by
supposed
what
to
has
share.
been.
At the
You
stage
didn't
where
add
you
it.
remove it?
Has a
No.
landfill
There you go.
problem in which all of their landfills are filled to the brim. The news. I don't know if you guys. I'm currently under attack. On the news. I don't know if you guys know this, but on my speech on free
Unbelievable.
speech, I referenced Puerto Rico, which currently has a landfill problem in which all of their landfills are filled to the brim. I guess I'm the only person that knew about this, unfortunately. And with that said, I just want to say that I love Puerto Ricans. They're very smart people. They're smart. They're street smart. And they're smart enough to know when they're being used as political fodder.
Nice.
And right now, that is happening. And I apologize to absolutely nobody.
Good for you, Tony.
Not to the Puerto Ricans, not to the whites, not to the blacks, not to the Palestinians, not to the Jews, and not to my own mother, who I made fun of during the set. Nobody clipped that. No headlines about me making fun of my own mother. That venue at that time wasn't the best fucking place to do this set at. But in any matter, to the mainstream media and to everybody trying to slander me online, that's what I do. I go hard, and that's never going to change. I'm currently.
You know what's so great about it? The whole thing. It's just, dude. It's the thing that the corporate media just cannot seem to grasp. Is that when you try to make Tony Hinchcliffe some sort of bad person for a joke that he made, all you do is give him more power. How many times do we have to go over this? Like when they tried to cancel Joe Rogan, who was already unbelievably famous, right? First of all, he was uncancelable, thankfully. But also, you turn him on to more people. All of these people that you try to say are saying horrible things and they're not good people and take them out of context. All you do is you make people like me go, I don't know who that person. Let me go see what that person's all about. You know what I'm talking about, Corey?
Yeah, and you know what? And then sometimes you do that, and it's like, wow, that person really is a piece of shit. Like that.
Andrew Tate, for example.
Asshole Nick Fuentes.
Or Andrew Tate, for example. Yeah, there are actual pieces of shit out there. But, like, even an Andrew Tate, right?
Like, he doesn't bother me because, like, it's so easy to see the game he's playing.
Oh, 100%, yeah. But I didn't,
you know what I mean?
But
like,
Corey,
but like,
you might be the same on this, and Bell too. Like, I didn't know who the fuck Andrew Tate was until somebody decided to cancel him. I had no idea who he was. Didn't care.
Fucking liberals, man. All these lost boys were looking at Jordan Peterson because he wrote that book, and they're all like, "Oh, father figure." And then the liberals made him cry a bunch, and they're like, "Oh, this guy sucks." And then they went to fucking Andrew Tate.
Yeah,
like, good job.
Cry a bunch, didn't they? They did make It's like they could just be listening to Jordan Peterson right now, who is mostly good. I have my disagreements with him, but he's mostly good.
Chased him off and made him go cry, and then so that all the boys went to fucking Andrew Tate.
Andrew Tate, Top G. Top G.
Oh,
just as an aside,
it's like, you know what? He probably could whip my ass.
Speaking of, he definitely could. He was actually a really good goddamn kickboxer. I did find that out about him. Speaking of which, just as an aside, are you guys watching the Jake Paul Tyson fight on Friday?
Yeah. You hope for Tyson. But
how much do you guys know about boxing? Because this is one of my pastimes. We haven't talked about it a lot on this show.
I can spar with you back and forth about it.
I got news for you. I know we all want to see all of our hearts say, please let Mike Tyson kick this man's ass. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen here. This is going to be Jake. This is going to be Jake Paul by decision. Jake Paul by decision. This isn't going to be a knockout. Nobody's knocking anybody out. Now, there is a scenario. If there is going to be a knockout, because Mike, at 58 years old, the last thing that goes is the power. And I've watched this man train. He definitely still has the power. So he could clip Jake early. But if this thing gets into the later rounds, it's done. Jake Paul wins in the decision.
Mike Tyson's not letting Jake Paul beat him.
He's 58 years old, Bill.
He didn't, dude. It doesn't matter. Did you see him fighting Roy Jones when they fought?
He did look pretty good fighting Jones.
Yeah, but
Listen,
Roy...
That was also another old man.
I know it was Roy Jones, but like...
No.
With that boy.
So Roy is one of the greatest fighters of all time. In his prime, there weren't many better than him. He was unbelievably old and unbelievably out of shape for that fight as to where Mike was ready to go. And
Mike was ready to go fucking kill someone again. Started training hard as shit.
Better.
Roy's like, what the fuck, bro?
And Mike
better.
And it was an exhibition, and Mike was pulling his punches. And I think Tyson has one speed, and that's go. And Roy Jones is just like, fuck it, I'm retired. Here's a chance to make a little bit of money. So I don't really consider that fight to really mean much.
No, that you just made my point though. Like, Mike Tyson's ready to go, dude.
I get it, but he's 58 years old. Jake Paul's 27 years old. And Jake Paul is... I've had an issue in the past with the way that he's fought. Like, he lost to Tommy Fury, and he should have. But he really, really performed well in that fight. And Tommy Fury's no joke. That's Tyson Fury's little brother. Yeah. Like, that was... And Jake Paul performed well. He's got some... fundamentals he's got to learn, which I think his camp is doing for him right now. I don't see, unless Mike clips him in the first 3 rounds. If this thing gets to the 4th round, Jake Paul wins this in a decision.
You're probably right.
That's my prediction.
So this fight's free on Netflix, but you know who the next boxer I actually would be willing to pay for or throw down on for a pay-per-view is Ben Whitaker.
Yeah?
You know who that is?
Yeah.
Dude, that kid, I don't know, he's just fucking wild in the ring. I like it. He's dancing, he's moving like Muhammad Ali. Fucking clowning on people.
Oh, this shit ain't till July?
What?
Oh, it's Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Fight.
So,
that's awesome.
It's on Netflix. It's free.
Here's another thing that's awesome about this fight on Friday that I don't think you guys know about, because you got to be
the undercards.
You got to be deep into boxing. Taylor versus Serrano. These ladies, I shit you not, do not miss this fight, because these two girls, no shit, are 2 of the greatest fighters of all time, and I mean of all time. Their first bout was a marathon that Taylor won by decision, and it was a controversial decision. Watch these girls fight. This is going to be a boxing showcase, and that's what I give Jake Paul credit for. Everybody hates on this guy, and I do in certain ways.
He's bringing attention back to boxing. He's Dana Whiting boxing.
You do realize he promoted the original Taylor Serrano fight. Like, he was the promoter for that, and it was one of the best fights of the century. And we got Taylor Serrano 2 in the undercard. These girls are going to put on a show. And I actually can almost guarantee it's going to be a better fight than the co-main event, which is Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. These two ladies are amazing.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I'm excited for it.
Katie Taylor versus Rebecca. I can't remember. I always forget her first name. Is it Rebecca Serrano? I think it is. Awesome.
We're on a tangent, though.
Yeah, we totally are. But it's something that people care about. You want to get to the bad?
Sure.
Do it.
The bad of the Trump administration, real simple. Number one, tariffs, which you have a little bit of a spiel on, Corey, and I'll let you go on that. And number two, the cabinet picks. You want to start with tariffs, Corey? Because you have a theory about this.
Oh, so yeah. So my theory about the tariffs is it's just a bargaining chip. I don't think that there is going to be broad tariffs that are going to happen to countries. Like, he's going to go and he's going to bluster certain countries, like, hey, we're going to tariff you on your exports, and then they're going to try to counter it the best they can to avoid it right away. And they're going to be like, oh, but we'll buy this many exports from you, or we'll do this or we'll do that. And you're going to start seeing offers from these other countries trying to avoid getting a tariff. And I think ultimately that's what he is doing. I think ultimately that what is his plan with tariffs is he's playing hardball, not expecting the tariff to actually go through. He just wants to see what their counteroffer is, because that might be better than the deal that we have with the country right now.
With the understanding, and I don't hate your theory, because that's kind of what he did the first time around, right?
Yeah, there was he was talking about tariffs last time, and then there was kind of a couple.
With the understanding that if tariffs do go through, they're an economic disaster. We know 100%. This, right? Okay, as long as we're all on the same page, because we are the ones that pay these tariffs. Tariffs make things more expensive at the end of the day. So if he's just using them as a bargaining chip, Corey's got a good one. I got a good one too. I said if he's just using him as a bargaining chip, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
Ferris Bueller explained this pretty well.
Yeah, do you want to play that? Well, I have this. When did that ready? I'll play this for him.
Yeah, go ahead. When did Ferris Bueller come out? 1984.
I feel like you're saying you get it, but you don't get it. It's cool. It's not cool. It is what it is. My God, this is so frustrating. I feel like you're saying you get it, but you don't get it. It's cool. It's not cool. It is what it is.
That's exactly what tariffs are. But Ferris Bueller's Day Off explained this very, very well. Ben Stein, you used to be able to win his money back in the day. Here we go.
In 1930, the Republican-controlled House of Representatives, in an effort to alleviate the effects of the Great Depression, passed the the tariff bill, the Hawley-Smoot Tariff Act, which raised or raised tariffs in an effort to collect more revenue for the federal government. Did it work? Anyone know the effects? It did not work, and the United States sank deeper into the Great Depression. Today, we have a similar debate over this. Anyone know what this is, class? Anyone? Anyone seen this before? The Laffer curve. Anyone know what this says? It says that at this point on the revenue curve, you will get exactly the same amount of revenue as at this point. This is very controversial. Does anyone know what Vice President Bush called this in 1980? Anyone? Something DOO economics. Voodoo economics.
It is
And
so
that's-
funny because they
that's-
are now going back to tariffs, and the Laffer curve is still in effect under the Trump administration because he talked about like the Laffer curve was referred to when he was cutting taxes the first time he was president.
It's amazing.
And then
It's
here's a movie in the
amazing how-
80s talking about how both of those are bullshit and it's not good for the
And this was during the Reagan administration too. That's when this movie came out. It's just amazing. Second thing about the bad cabinet picks. Cabinet picks. He's made one good cabinet pick so far as we sit here on Wednesday, November 13th, 2024 at 9:56 p.m. He's made one good cabinet pick, and that's Tulsi Gabbard. It's the only one that's good. That's the only one that's good. I have a couple of others that are like maybe okay because you can look at a lot of these and you can freak out about who they are. I look at somebody like Matt Gaetz. I'm not a fan of Matt Gaetz. He is a Trump loyalist. However, you got to look at what Trump's going to do. Trump isn't going to appoint an attorney general who is going to, I don't know, reduce the size and scope of government or something like that. He's either going to pick another neocon or he's going to pick a Trump loyalist. And in this case, I think the Trump loyalist might be a little bit better. Yeah. So it's like, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal as the AG. I look at somebody like Elise Stefanik as the UN ambassador. Fucking neocon, fucking horrible human being. However,
what really is the UN?
I was gonna say not that worried about it because the UN ambassador is basically just a mascot. Like that's all that position really is. It's just somebody who goes in and waves
sort of
the American
crazy
flag.
scenario that's happening with another country. They are in direct communications with someone higher up in the administration.
I look at somebody like Kristi Noem.
God damn it, the dog killer.
As the head of the Department of Homeland Security. And I go, barf. This woman is so unbelievably unimpressive. And I look at it and I go, did he just pick her because she took the South Dakota National Guard and sent them to the border during the Biden administration?
Some of these people, he's picking them. But one of the reasons he's picking them is because they are a Trump sycophant.
They're loyalists.
Like for example,
yeah.
The Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE.
Oh,
Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are in charge of that. And I feel like the only reason that they're even getting a cabinet position is because of the hundreds of millions of dollars that they.
Well, it's not really a cabinet position. It's just like a committee.
Yeah, expand the government to shrink the government.
But I will. Well, that's exactly right. And here's the thing. I don't remember who said this. It was some other far more successful podcaster, but I thought it was astute. I wish I could remember, but I've had a little bit too much bourbon. Maybe you'll remember when I say it, Corey, because we listen to similar stuff. And I thought this was a really interesting observation, which is that is this just sort of a pet project for Vivek and Elon? Is it actually going to mean anything?
No, probably not. It's probably
seems like a little bit of a pet
probably
project.
just for them, just because like I'll give you something to do because you donated so much money to my campaign.
Yeah,
I hope for the best. I hope for the best. You know, you like to hope for the best, right? Like you want it to actually be effective, and then like, could you imagine if they were able to streamline the government and make it run like at least as adequate as it does now, but run at like 30-40% less of mine and your taxpayers' money?
I hope you're right. I really do.
Great.
Like I hope that's what we see. I'm
happen?
not confident.
No.
Here's what I think is going to happen. Elon and Donald Trump, they got along because they had a common enemy, right?
And if you remember, Elon was in his cabinet the first time, and he
wasn't
left.
in his cabinet. He wasn't.
He was
in his
like one of
cabinet.
his advisors.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. Like Elon and Donald Trump got along because they had a common enemy. They wanted to defeat the establishment. And honestly, dude, mad respect, because I want to defeat the establishment too. I don't think these are the two guys to do it. And honestly, I like Elon mostly. I mostly like him. I mostly don't like Donald Trump. But can these two guys really get along when they're teaming up to move forward on something that's not a common enemy?
No.
Not so sure. I'm not so sure. They're both alphas. They're both bosses. They're both boss-ass bitches, if you will. And I don't know that it's going to... I'm getting drunk at this point, and I'm just going to say this one more time. This administration's going to be a disaster.
You're going to see a lot of turnaround.
It's going to be awful.
High
it's
turnover
going to be
rate.
awful. It's going to be awful, but I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Cabinet picks. Do you have anything to say about any of the rest of the cabinet picks? I'm going through them right now. I'll say this about the Tulsi Gabbard pick, because I texted you guys this earlier. It is so fucking funny. The Tulsi Gabbard was on a fucking terrorist watch list, and now she's the director of national intelligence, or going to be the director of national intelligence. That is absolutely brilliant. And I think that's a perfect position for her, even over defense secretary.
Real quick,
because
play game.
What's the game?
Where is the bar set to where the Trump presidency is considered a success?
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna have to think about this for.
Bell, you get in on this too.
I'm gonna try to be quick.
You hear that question, Bell?
A successful Trump presidency to me is at least some semblance of shrinking the government, which I don't foresee because he grew the government the first time. I would honestly, I would say this about
he grew it yesterday.
He did. But ultimately, let's just say that it shrinks by the end. Let's just say, like Corey said, like he's growing it to shrink it. Let's hope that's the case.
That was a joke.
So, no, but it's true. That's what he's doing, or at least allegedly doing. It's going to be an ultimate shrinking of the government. It's going to be a closing of the border, but with wider gates for access, because I'm an advocate of high fences and wide gates when it comes to the border.
Immigration is good. Just we want it legal.
It's going to be an overall reduction of the debt, not counting on that, and an overall reduction of taxes at the same time, because it can be done. I don't know why people say it can't be done, but it absolutely can be done. Those are the three things. If he does those three things in the next 4 years, that's a successful Trump presidency to me. And I don't think he's going to do any of them, to be very clear.
See, I'm kind of in the same boat. All very simple things. Those are all very simple things. You don't have to do anything extra. You don't have to, like...
Oh, and no new wars. And he did do that the first time.
Yeah. I was going to say, so mine were...
we're going to
squash the Ukraine-Russia thing, the Israeli situation, genocide, ending within his 4 years, him taking an active role in making that stop in an expedient, like make it stop, right? Maybe actually getting with the Doge thing, if the Department of Government Efficiency, if that is actually an effective group, making that happen and making our food healthier with RFK.
Yeah, I do like that.
I
didn't even think about that, but the whole
if
RFK
those
thing,
3 things happen, then I think I would consider it for the standard of Trump, right? Like we're setting a bar that you don't even have to hurdle. You can just step over it like you're stepping over your kid Legos. Right. Brighten eyes in the house. Those 3 things, I think I'd be like, okay, he did an all right job. But now, with Tulsi and national intelligence, you hope that, that gets reined in. She was an advocate of reining that in. So hopefully that gets reined in.
This is going to be a wild administration, man.
I think it's ultimately going to be like 2016 over again. A couple things might happen. He might get to appoint one more judge.
Yeah, that's a little wild too.
Yeah.
People are so mad.
I don't know what to say.
Like, what do you want me
I don't know what to say. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what to fucking say. It's just like,
it's
you know,
literally
the
like a
Democrats
replay.
did this to themselves. They set themselves up to
replay.
lose. Democracy's at stake, so we're gonna run one of the most milquetoast candidates, and then
Sorry.
like
I was
pretend
gonna
to
piss
be
my
excited
pants.
about it. Like,
The la-
it's mind-boggling, dude. Like the high road that they played, and that I think that's why I'm really still more bitter against Democrats than Republicans. 'Cause,
Man.
like, I align with them more. You know what I mean? Like,
That's the white pill, right? That's the white pill of like, God, the American people just aren't stupid. I love that they're okay. I shouldn't say that because there's a contingency that thinks that Trump is going to be good. But there's enough of us that just went, we're done with this shit. We're done with being gaslit. We're done with being told that things are better than they are. And like that's where the American people are smart. And I'm just like that's just the white pilled aspect of it, and I'm so happy to see that. It's going to be a disastrous administration. The next thing is, and I don't know if we'll ever get there, and this is where I wish the American people could be a little bit smarter. We have the ability to create more options if we really wanted to do it. This whole like, well, we got to vote for one side or the other because only one side or the other can win, and we have to stop that side from winning. That's the part that the American people, I just wish could just stop having that mentality. Just stop having that mentality. And hopefully that's the next step. I doubt it. The last thing is the ugly. We've done the good. We've done the bad. Now we have the ugly of the Trump administration. And the ugly is this.
What, it's a Trump administration?
Well, the ugly is this sort of, and this is more of a cultural thing, to be honest. This sort of attitude of the manosphere incels. We talked a little bit about this pre-show. This idea that Trump is going to come in and make lives better for the men that are sitting in their basements wondering why women don't like them. Because at the end of the day, as men, it's okay to be upset about the way that the federal government has made your life shittier. I have no problem with you being upset. I'm upset about it. Belle's upset about it. Corey's upset about it. But at the end of the day, you have to do something to improve your own life as well. We don't have. I mean, and I'll give credit. We talked about this a little bit pre-show.
Like a welfare, like you're trying to be a succubus on the government, just like the very people you complain about. If you think that the government's going to fix your social situation,
you're exactly right. You sat there and you bitched about socialism and about how Democrats giving special treatment to trans people or gays or whatever it is. And you're sitting there and you're relying on Donald Trump, a politician, because that's what he is now, guys. He may not have been that in 2016. But that's what he is now.
Yeah, he's been doing it for 8 years.
To do the same for you. You're relying on a politician to improve your life. That's just not a way to live. And it's not going to get better. And if you think he's going to improve your life, your personal life, he's not.
Unless he lowers like energy prices and things become cheaper. And then your personal life is directly affected.
Sure, but you know what none of those things are what those things are going to do is make your financial situation a little bit better, which we'll all take that, right? But what it's not going to make women like you more.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It's not going to make women like you more.
I think it's more likely that
you're cutting your selection of women in half just by saying that you're a Trump supporter.
Which is fucked up.
Which I mean, no, I guess it's not, because you'd be the same. I would say the same if you were like allows a Harris supporter. You're cutting the women, your women, if that's the identity that you're going to take of a like, if your identity is like, I'm this type of person and I follow these politics, you're doing the same thing that you get pissed off about people like, and let's say the LGBTQ community.
You're making
like vegans. Vegans make one of the most insignificant food. They make one of the most insignificant parts of your daily routine, something that just keeps you alive, their whole identity. You got people out there.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, you got people out there that are just taking something that's like, which should be trivial, the person you voted for, a part of your whole identity. That's thing that we all do. We all have sex. We all have sex. Some people make it, except for the ones we're talking about, obviously. But then you get people that make it a part of their whole identity, like fucking around with a hole, making it a part of your whole identity.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
How people will take trivial things that we all do in our day-to-day lives and make it like the most center point of their identity.
I didn't know she was black.
And that making Trump a part of your whole fucking identity is just fucking stupid.
Dude, it's weird. It's
and
weird.
And thinking that doing that's going to give you a one-up in society is fucking delusional.
It's like if I was obsessed with LeBron James. Like if I just had like a weird obsession with LeBron James and I had LeBron James gear all over my apartment or my house or wherever the hell I live. And then like a woman walks in and goes, the fuck is going on here? Why are you so obsessed with LeBron James?
Why are you obsessed with black men?
The reason that's funny. But the reason I say that is like, that's something a child does, right? Like when I was a kid, I was obsessed with Steve Yzerman. Like I was a huge Red Wings fan, and
you say that because as a kid I was thinking like it reminds me of like a 14-year-old girl with a bunch of Britney Spears posters in the room.
Right, it's the same kind of thing. Like I was obsessed with athletes when I was a kid. I wanted to be a professional hockey player when I was a kid until I realized I wasn't that good, which took a lot longer than I'd like to admit. But
I never got James Bond.
I had fucking hockey players hung up all over my room because that's what kids do. Like when you're that obsessed with whether it's LeBron James or in my case Steve Yzerman or Donald Trump, women see that. It's fucking childish. It's childish. That's what it screams to them. Like this is a man who still who is way too attached.
Some girls have a
way too attached to his mom.
Some girls have a real nurture aspect and they go, "Aw, come here."
That's true, but they're mostly older ladies who are divorcees or widows.
Empty house.
Which, if you can, if you can find one of those, if you can find one of those, go for it. I was just talking to a buddy the other day. Actually, it was just yesterday. He had a chance to get with it. He's younger than me. He's got to be in his mid-20s. He had a chance to get with a 70-year-old cougar. I said, "Do it."
Why not?
Is she like good looking for her age? Like, I don't know.
You only live once.
Get after it.
And your once is a lot longer than hers. So have at it, bud.
Are we done here?
I think so. We're filibustering.
God, no, just everybody calm down. Like this is gonna be fine. And to Trump supporters, I'm gonna tell you straight up, and you can come back to me and remember this episode.
For the sake of the country, we for the sake of the country, we hope you get to say we told you so, but we're not.
100%. If you come back to me in 4 years and say, "Fuck you, Dan, you were wrong," I will take it.
Yeah, and I'm better, and my life is better. I'm gonna be like, "You were right."
I will take it. I will take it, and I will live with it, and I will do an entire episode. I will do a show naked for you if that's what you want. And I'm saying it.
America, you'll be allowed to, brother.
Live on this show. But if I can prove to you that this next 4 years is going to be an unmitigated disaster,
It's really funny.
I'm not
that you
doing
say
it.
that. I feel like we are sometimes on the same wavelengths because, like, earlier, but like before we started the show, and like I got up to go take a piss, I was thinking like, how fucking funny would it be? Because like we all hopped on and I was sitting down, and you can't see me from the waist down. If I got up to go take a piss and I was just fucking bare ass, and you just saw my ass walk out of the room.
I actually should probably change that because Trump did do something in 2016 that fools a lot of people. I shouldn't say 2016, but just through his 4 years, where he had this brilliant way, and this is just him being a businessman, where he created sort of this short-term economic boom that came away with catastrophic events following his presidency. Because make no mistake, he is partially responsible for this recession. Biden did an absolutely terrible job of fixing those problems. In fact, he exacerbated most of them because he sucks.
Right.
I have a
But
feeling
Trump
we
is the one
might.
that made them.
I feel like Trump started it. I feel like we might see, because that's what people don't understand about economics. Is
No,
this
people
ebb
don't
and
understand
flow,
that at
boom
all.
and
That the
bust.
$10 trillion that caused all the inflation by being pumped into the economy was kind of a 60-40 split between Trump and Biden.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone likes to blame Biden because of the effects of the inflation. So it's funny. I was thinking about that too, because Biden's administration domestically did a couple good things subjectively, but like the CHIPS Act is giving, like, could potentially have good effects. The bullshit, the bill that was bullshit, and they called the Inflation Reduction Act. I don't know why they fucking call it fucking stupid.
Nonsense. The Inflation Increation Act.
It was basically an infrastructure bill, and you might, like, 5-6 years from, or no, probably like 3 or 4 years from now, maybe even 2 or 3, because that was put in like 2 years ago at this point. So like 2 years from now, you probably are going to see a bunch of infrastructure bills come to completion. There's going to be more jobs from it getting rolling. You're going to see a lot more reshoring because of the CHIPS Act and a technological innovation. And fucking Trump is just going to be able to take all the credit for it, baby, because he fucking will.
We got a comment from Rocky Winter 99. He says, "Hey guys, I voted for Trump. I'm not hating. I just want to have a friendly debate because there's a reason why I voted for Trump, and I don't even like the dude." I'm gonna tell you something, Rocky, bro. You're
not alone.
We
so neither of us voted for Trump.
Neither of us voted for him. But I can tell you right now, whatever your reasons are for voting for him, I guarantee you they're valid.
Yeah,
please check out.
Yeah, we both voted third party.
Please check out the show. Download the podcast. Listen to this whole episode, and I think you'll know exactly where we're coming from. You can find us on any of the major podcast platforms. Just search Libservative.
Libservative Podcast. Found it on social media podcast platforms.
In fact, why don't you just tell the people where they can find us, because it's really time for us to go.
Yeah,
I'm
we are
drunk
about to wrap
and
it up. We're down for 2 hours. Libservative Podcast is found on all social media podcast platforms. Our website is libservativeshow.com. We can be found at Libservative on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Instagram and Twitter at LibservativePod. Our TikTok videos can be found at Libservative Podcast, and you can reach out directly at libservativepod@gmail.com. Subscribe today. And he said, thank you for understanding.
Today.
Hey, well, yeah. I hope it's a breath of fresh air to hear two guys that just are kind of contrarians and hate
this whole episode
in general.
This whole episode was about the good, the bad, and the ugly of Trump being elected. And there's a lot of good, but most of it is white pill stuff. I don't know if you're a fan of Michael Malice, but it is what it is.
We delve into nuance and don't subscribe to political partisanship or parties. When the party does something good, we give them credit. When the party does something bad,
and by the way,
regardless of.
By the way, I don't think we've said this at all tonight. Corey, I don't think we've said this at all tonight. At the end of the day, like, I don't have faith that this administration is going to be any good. I think it's going to be a disaster. Absolutely. Like, I want this man to prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Please. Let's go. Prove me wrong. the Israel stuff's not looking good, but that's another discussion for another day. Anyway, Bell the Body Snatcher on the ones and twos. He, as always, has been Corey Walsh.
He's Dan Griffin.
This has been Libservative. And until next time, we are out of here.